Alright, so in preparation for for the 100th tournament special, I have decided to do a small unit showcase. Everyone here is from the historical group. We have Ottoman, Aztec, Mongol, and Egyptian. Now they're all here because they all do essentially the same thing. There is really no difference between them except for how much they fight. So I'm not gonna continue. I'm gonna do the entire battle because you can get the gist. Riot Police and the Queen. They're the ranged units of this faction. They're frick. That's two Riot Police. Oh my god, I'm failing already. Riot Police and the Queen. So they're just some pretty good basic range units. Then we have the Swashbuckler up here. It's got, a bunch of pirate abilities. And then finally for the historical faction, we have the Gladiator. Moving on to the next faction. Next up is animals. We have Fish, Crab Warrior, and Neko because they all kind of do the same thing. They are the melee units. They don't have any really cool special abilities to go with them. On to Commander Cluck. He is the ranged unit of the faction. He has a minigun that shoots faster but does less damage to even things out. And then finally we have the Bird God. Possibly one of the strongest possibly one of the strongest units I've made for tournament standard gameplay. Moving on to the next. Moving on to the Holidays faction, these are the elves. So they're pretty basic. They're just a basic melee unit. They kind of jump in, start ripping a smaller unit apart, sometimes a bigger unit that has low HP. And then next up is Santa Claus. He's got claws. He's also a basic rank. He's also a basic melee unit. Then the elf, because it shoots. It's an elf. It's got its dual MP5Ks. It's ready to tear some face. Then finally, the boss of the faction is Satan Claus. It's a bigger Santa Claus with a shelf rider. Moving on to the next faction. This is the Earth Emperor. He throws boulders, and if you get too close, he will summon the Graveyard Rush. Wind Warlord here has wind. He's got all the wind. Every wind ability. Then the Ice King has all of the ice abilities. The Lava Lord has all of the fire abilities, and the Thunder Czar has all of the thunder abilities. Moving on to the next faction. This is the Deltarune faction. Over here we have Ralsei, our base range unit. Chris is our base melee unit. Lancer is another range unit, but can sometimes charge in to just blast you from up close. Susie is gonna bring the axe down and get very, very angry. Jevil is very good at handling hordes of units, and back there is Chaos King, who's going to shoot you with a harpoon, then grab and kick you all around. Moving on to the next faction. This is the animes group. Up first, we have Sebastian from Black Butler, the king of speedruns. Next up is Tanjiro. He's gonna jump in with his headbutt and just throw some tornadoes around. And then is Nezuko. Got the fire. She's got the kicks that are gonna send you into space. Inosuke, he's pretty tanky. He's gonna dive in and then just kind of spin around and try to do damage. Then is Zenitsu. He's got lightning. He's got Nomaiwa mo Shinderu. He's actually better in tabs than he is in the actual anime. Then Madara. He's gonna just keep pushing you back. Next up is Madara. He's just gonna keep you pushed back and keep pelting you with ninja stars. Then Itachi. Don't get close to him, or you're gonna get bombarded by birds. We'll see you for the next faction. Next up is Team Fortress 2. First up, we have Scout. He's kinda messed up in that I gave him too many jumps, so he goes flying. Next is Spy, who's going to teleport behind you, tell you it's nothing personal, kid, and then proceed to miss every single shot because he is an ambassador spy. Next is pretty much the battle medic, except he's equipped with the Crusader's crossbow and a butcher knife instead of, a bone saw. Then is the sniper. He backs up, snipes things, pretty basic. Demo Man does exactly what you would expect Demo Man to do. And the same with the Demo Knight. Charges in, starts chopping. Drunken Scottish noises intensify. Soldier is actually quite the tactical genius in tabs. There's a group of them. They back up, they split up, they surround. Next up is Engineer, who gets to summon one random unit from the game. There's the Pyro, who has a lot of fire. Then Heavy, he works the exact way you'd think. This is the Souls faction. Kindness can deflect projectiles. Patience is our pretty much basic melee unit who can freeze units with her sword. Sometimes she freezes herself. Hate gets Anki. Bravery has the Super Boxer Punch to scatter units and cause a lot of fall damage. Justice spawned without a shirt, but he backs up and shoots things. Integrity has a lot of kicks, has the dodges, has dance moves. Fear has this giant scythe and makes things scared of her. Perseverance is all about controlling your body with the Banshee Scream and Minotaur Grab. Then we have Determination. He's got a flaming sword. He's got a big shield. It's pretty basic for something like him. And then Rainbow, who's got an ability from every single one of those. See you for the next faction. Next, this is the Pop Culture. This is essentially just renamed the Star Wars faction. This is except for Steven Universe here. He backs up. He's got his shield. He's got his chakram. He's gonna chuck a shield at you essentially. This is Emperor Palpatine, but he's young. He's got lightning. He floats. This is Luke Skywalker. He's going to jump in and just get into a brawl, like in Episode 6. Yoda, he's small, he's hard to hit, but he's still got the same abilities as the rest of them. Darth Vader has a massive glove to pick you up and start choking you out with it, as well as being able to wield his lightsaber one-handed. Then over here we have the Doki Doki Phantom Delights faction with Dova, the axe thrower, Eevee, who turns into a bat to get close and makes excellent use of the fireball throw. Wither just takes a long time to kill anything because it's just a buffed potion seller. Neko Frisk is essentially just a reskinned swordcaster. Bianca is a discount Steven. We'll get to him later. Wither jumps in and then starts doing melee things. Teddy is a discount Reaper. Lulu is what if Zeus and the Reaper had a child, I guess. Leaf Marilurk, he's got the Jarl Axe, the Brawler Shield. He's got Vlad Impale. He's got a lot of things. Grim over here has fire. He's got the scythe. He's got the saber. He's got giant ass wings. Yato over here is just a one-handed swordsman with enrage. And Corbin, he's got a lot of abilities and is the boss of the faction. See you for the next faction. This is the Evertail faction. Down here is Callan, the story mode version, who was made tiny by popular demand. Next up is the cat-eared mercenary Shauna, who has lightning and her big hammer. Next up is the Dragon Slayer Shauna, who has a lot of fire, and her trusty little axe Van Helsing. This is Endless Rosette with her fiery whip. This is Reladia with her time manipulation. Anya, who is mainly focused on shields. Finn, the main character of the game, he's got a lot of melee abilities. He's very good at melee. And then Daughter of the Dragon Callan with her Divine Arbiter book, a bit of time manipulation, and a fireball throw. This is the Ultra Cabin group. We have Inkrist, who is just a buffed painter. This is Luke. He's very fast. He's got lightning. He hovers Giftlet here, has the arrow volley, and some basic medieval weapons. And this is Javen, a dominant unit from Season 1. He floats around, he's got a giant sword to hit things with, he's got a lot of health, and the sword casting. And then this is the Random Lust server group. That is Jamie. She is an angel who wields a bazooka, and like 75% of the time, I want to say, kills herself. John Roseheart is essentially just a remade king. Demon Horror here has the berserker axes. He floats around. He's got sword casting. Jenny up there, very tanky with a very large sword. Plasma Sands down here is just, he makes you do acid. Blade here is possibly one of the stronger units I made. He's got the Aegis Shield, he's got the Reaper Scythe, he's got Enraged, a lot of health, and a Rocket Rain ability. Demon Horror Phase 2 is going to teleport behind you, hit you with fire, make you pray, and then chuck swords into your body. We'll see you for the next faction. Welcome to the Miscellaneous faction. Here we have Ignitus. He's just a melee unit with a flaming sword. Next up is Gatherer, a tribal unit who has the Mammoth Charge. Next up is Scalpel. He's a skeletal apple thrower who will make you pray. He doesn't have a lot of health, so if you can touch him, he is probably dead. Next up is Bubbles the Clown. He will make you terrified of him. With the honky honky little hammers and the nose. Next up is Sunoka, who has power over ice, and I'm not going to say what he is, but you can probably tell. Up there is just a basic angel with the Holy Shield and a King's Sword. This is Jennifer Rafflecopter, a pretty great assassin. She's going to teleport behind you and then hit you with lightning, ice, and fire. This is Rebel. He's tanky. He's got a very underrated melee weapon in the pickaxe and the fireball throw. This is the Wraith. He makes you pray. He's going to scythe you apart. This is Satan. He will instantly kill you if you are too weak, and he has double Reaper Scythes. The Katana Master has a bunch of swords on him, dashes in, cuts things apart, but he is easy to kill. Melee Master, if he gets in, you're all done. Everything, it's just over. Next up is the Undertale crossover faction. First up is Max. He's wielding a giant sword, and that is literally it. Next is Apple. She's got the Thor Lightning, and that is literally it. Next is Skelenes, currently the #1 ranked player on PRs. He's got 2 bazookas, and actually, more of the time, manages to damage himself for about half of his HP, meaning he causes more damage to himself than the enemy ever does. Next up is Arthur. He floats, he's got 2 weapons, he's pretty good at melee. Next up is Rotten, who has the Ice Giant Punch, so if she lands a direct hit, you're in for a really rough day. Next up is Steven, a historical veteran of the game, one of the best units in the PRs. Short, he's got the fireball throw, and he has Enrage, so he becomes a little fireball vomiting machine gun. This is Chasm. They float, they have the sword casting, they have multiple swords. Sage here will jump in and create illusions of herself, and can also block a few projectiles. Isaac will instantly kill you if you have too little HP, and he's very tall, he's floating, he's got the sword casting. Danielle over here has 2 very strong weapons and some very good abilities. Wink over here is extremely tanky, and also has a pretty decent damaging weapon in the Harvester's Scythe. This is Epic Shift Kara, but it's a duo because Chasm is on her shoulders. He's got a whole lot of exploding abilities. We'll see you for the next faction. This is the Brawl Stars faction. First up is Piper. She's got long range. Next is Mortis, who turns into a bat, then starts whacking you over the head with a shovel. This is Shelly. She dashes in and starts shotgunning things. Terra here can create clones of herself, then toss you around with the Banshee Scream and toss Cactus Needles at you. Bull here gets enraged and has a lot of HP. El Primo has some grab abilities, some throw abilities, the Thor Lightning to simulate his Meteor Strike in the game, and a lot of HP. And now Frank here, he's just got a hammer and a crap load of HP. Going over here to the My Hero Academia faction. First up, we have Kita and Villain Kita, 2 archers based on some OCs from someone I know. Himiko Toga teleports behind you, starts sucking your blood. Shota Izawa drags you in. Chako Araka. I gave her an ice storm to try and simulate one of the meteor abilities she has, but other than that, she's got a bunch of lift you around abilities. Dabi, he's just got fire. Todoroki, he's got fire and ice. Izuku Midoriya, he's pretty good at melee. Tamura Shigaraki, he's also good at melee, and same with Bakugo. Next up is MHA Brony, who is just a lot more lightning. We didn't have Denki, so we put Brony in. Next up is All Might, who punches really, really hard. Next is All For One, who has a lot of different abilities based on the quirks that he has stolen throughout the years. We'll see you for the next faction. Next up is the Other Games faction. This is Minecraft Steve. He's got a very long range with his crossbow and can do some pretty good melee with the sword. This is Slenderman. He's going to pick you up and start tentacling you. Shotgun Witch has a shotgun and lightning and a night charge. This is Irildu. She is small, she is good. She has a sword, and she has a lot of explosions, sometimes harming herself more than her opponent. This is Sakia. Unfortunately, we cannot give her much time manipulation right now, but hopefully all the swords and knives she throws makes up for it. Next up is Paint the Town Red, who has the katana from the game, the shotgun from the game, a kick from the game, and a bunch of the abilities from the game. This is Dust. He's got a tornado throw and quite a lot of health. This is quote-unquote Siren Head. He has a really, really wonky hitbox and takes a while to die, with very powerful punches and a lot of abilities to keep you just away from him. He's also the most expensive unit that I use for tournaments. Going over here to the alternate universes group. First up is Aerosans, who is really just very, very cheap Reaper. He dies very easily. Next up is Story Shift Azrael, quite the actually terrifying unit to look at. But he's got a sword, he's got fire, he wants to be the Royal Guard. Next up is Yandere Blueberry. He's gonna chop you up. Then Undertale Crossover. Next up is Underswap Kara. Don't expect much from them. They are the worst unit in the league. This is Dream Sans. He has a lot of arrows to shoot. Nightmare Sans has a lot of tentacles, and he's pretty tanky. Story Shift Kara is essentially just discount. Actually, it's not even discount. It's more expensive Sakia, but they can dodge. This is Cross Kara. He's gonna teleport behind you and then start cutting you apart. Epic Sans, he's got the 420s and the 69s and the fish to slap you around and all the funny ha-has. This is Murder or Dust Sans. I just call him Dust Tail to make it easy. I honestly do not remember what he does. This is... Yeah, no, right? No, I think this is... No, this is Killer. He's got basic Sans abilities. I think I'm forgetting which one is which because I made them all look so similar. This is Cross Sans. He's going to teleport behind you, make you kneel, and start cutting you apart. Underswap Papyrus. He's got back up. He's going to shoot you with his Python revolvers, and, you know, he's pretty easy to take out. No, yeah, this is Dusttail Sans. He's got the basic Sans abilities. This is Horrortail Sans. He's got basic Sans abilities and a bigger, beefier sword. Ink Sans has his mop, a lot of HP, and the basic Sans abilities. And now, I don't know why, but for the Bad Time Duo, Underswap Papyrus refuses to be a skeleton. I've tried to change this like over 10 times since I first made this unit, and he just does not want to be a skeleton. Anyway, it's just Sans and Underswap Papyrus together. It's really easy to take them out. We'll see you for the next faction. Our next group is the Undertale group, just the base game. This is Greater Dog. He's gonna bark you away from him. He's actually really annoying when I want to make videos. This is Frisk, who has had one of the best glow-ups for any unit, being one of the worst and now being top 50. I believe there's like 240 units to put that into perspective. Very fast, got a lot of dodges, and that Cupid bow is to simulate flirting. Papyrus. Since he doesn't want to harm you, he's got training swords, which take a while to actually start. He can block a single projectile, and it's pretty much this. Has a big rivalry with Blueberry, since they're essentially the same here. Toriel has fire. She's the goat mom. Not very, doesn't have a lot of health, but hey, she doesn't need to. Muffet, she's gonna jump in and start nomming. This is Kara. Got a lot of dodges, very fast, and can do some serious damage with the Hurricane Slash. Undyne here is tanky. She's got projectile deflect, Vlad Impale to simulate the spears, and yeah, she's got a long spear. Azrael Dreamer here has lightning to simulate the Shaka Breaker. He's got fire because he wields fire, and that he's got his trusty little Chaos Saber, and is actually one of the top 10 units in the PRs. Mettaton EX, those birds simulate the Mettaton Heart Thrower bomb things. He's got the lightning bow for lightning attacks. He's got kicks. He's got the bomb spin because, you know, dancing and stuff. Sans, 1 HP, doesn't deal a lot of damage, but has a lot of pretty cool abilities. This is Red. She's got the whole sword. She's got a lot of HP and her very own Omaiwa Shinneru. This is Asgore. He's got the Trident for close range and the Fireball for mid to long range. Pretty tall, pretty tanky, and the king of the monsters. This is Undyne the Undying, the tankiest unit we have in the tournament bracket, in any tournament bracket, with 24,000 HP. And she's just Undyne, but really, really tanky. Next up is the Saving Our Country group, which is a little mini-series I may make in the future. This is the Obsessed, based off of, who's got a personality based off of Miko Toga from MHA, but she's going to teleport behind you, create a bunch of clones, and start nomming and cutting you apart. This is Marissa, who is supposed to be a mermaid, but I couldn't do that here. She's got the bow because she's got a amazing voice that can cause people to do whatever she wants. V, he is the facility leader. He's an experienced military military personnel. Charges in, cuts things up. Next up is Iris, who rules over nature. She can deal a lot of damage, but she's very easy to take out, so keep that one in mind. Sheila is a sentry. What if Katsuki Bakugo was female and also used her feet instead? She's got a lot of fiery kicks to dish out. Next up is Bill/Elliot. We've given him a few names. He's got lightning. The Overseer is a very business demon who's got the fireballs and can control how fast other units around him go. Next up is Ivan, who's got the control over ice. This is the Brute. He's big, tanky, and does damage, but he's not supposed to be very smart. This is Devin or Damien, depending on who you ask. Got a lot of demon abilities since he is half demon, half human. This is Firelord N, Damien's father. He's got also a lot of demon abilities and the Flaming Sword. We'll see you for the next faction. Our third to last group is the Friday Night Funkin' group. Now, I've lumped all these units together, Pump, Skid, Boyfriend, Skid, Pump, and Carol, because they are all pretty much the same basic melee units. Next up is Agodi, who has the Reaper Tentacles and is a painter. Mommy Mirist, who's got her fire. Sky from Manifest, who gets very angry and claws things apart. Daddy Deers has his gun from week 5 and some fire because he's a demon. Pico has both of his guns. Girlfriend has some abilities to toss you around. Tank Man here has a pistol that shoots tank rounds. Senpai makes other units fall in love because, you know, everyone loves Senpai in the game. Yeah, cool, yep, Silver is pretty decent at melee. Who's already here has the Gondan, aka the Lady Red Jade weapon. Cappy here spins, he's got claws, he becomes angry and turns into a tornado, a DDR tornado. Monster, Lemon Demon, just wants to eat. He's gonna pin you down, start sucking. This is Sarvents from Not Gospel. Teleports behind, creates clones of herself, opens up the book, and starts reading all up in your face with her sword as well. Tabby, the angry Russian goat skeleton, Invisible Man. He's got bombs. He becomes mad. He's got a lot of bombs. And then he just grabs you. Ruv, very good at melee. He has the shout because he is very, very loud. This is more of a Garcello Andy crossover because he wields the liquid, but he's got both fire breath and ice breath to simulate, all the smoke he blows out. Tricky here has the knives that he can summon. He's got the mask, and he's got fire breath and his grenade shooting M16. Hex apparently is powered by the sun, so I gave him sun abilities. Witty has bombs and gets angry, and then has a lot of bombs. Next, this is Sarvent from Gospel. She's got pretty much the same things as Sarvent from Not Gospel, but just better. Moving over here to the Ultimates group. We have Secret Ultimate, who gets to summon one random unit from the base game. Farmer Ultimate, he's got Hay to block, throws crows, and he's got the Harvester's Scythe. The Ultimate Summoner has 2 different presents and will make you bow so you can't fight back for the first second. Medieval Ultimate, he's got the Jester Dodge, he's got the King Sword, the Standard Archer Bow, and any other pretty much ability you'll find in the Medieval faction. The Ancient Ultimate has pretty much everything, the best stuff you'll find from the Ancient faction. The Tribal Ultimate has the best from the Tribal faction, and the West Ultimate is the only one I made an exception for, who has 2 ranged weapons instead of a ranged weapon and a melee weapon like these other ones. This is the Pirate Ultimate. He's got all the pirate abilities. And the Barrel. Good Ultimate here doesn't actually have all of the right abilities because some of them didn't work when I first made the unit, so that'll have to be updated. And the same goes for Evil Ultimate. And I hate that they're called Good and Evil. I would much rather have them be called Light and Dark. Anyway, next is Viking Ultimate, who's got all the abilities you will find from Viking-based units. Uller Axe Throw, Mjolnir, Lightning, all that stuff. Legacy Ultimate has the Super Boxer abilities as well as the Wizard. The Spooky Ultimate has the Bat Transformation, the Necromancer, Lantern, Reaper Scythe, Reaper Wings, Sword Casting, and Vampire Bite. Renaissance Ultimate, by far one of my most hated and one of the most boring units. He backs up, he shoots things, and if you get too close, he can release his balloon and instantly kill you. Dynasty Ultimate here is a glass cannon. He jumps in with his Shogun Katana and Sensei Shuriken throw and just kind of goes ham, but if you can tag him, he's very easy to kill. Then our final faction for today is the Neo Undertale crossover faction. This is Lucy. She is a small child with a fish. This is Dominic. He's got only 1 health, unfortunately, so he's probably not going to go very far. Moira here hovers. She's got the scythe. It's pretty basic. Jason just has the Necromancer knife. Lust has the Cupid bow. Jessie here is an anthropomorphized dog, and she shoots Cupid arrows. Rage here jumps in, starts going ham on people. Angie up there is an angel. She's got the Sacred Elephant Spears. Zack down here is good at melee. He's got the Reaper Wings. Damie, phase 1, is going to kind of like start grabbing, start punching, and then eventually turn into a demon. Susie phase 1 is going to do her best to transform every single person into a skeleton. Brendan is quite the swordsman. Archie over here has even more love to share. Then Elise is very good at melee. C has a bunch of abilities as well as Elise. They're sisters. Then Damie phase 2. She's taller. She's got fireball throw, crow wings. And Susie has more skulls and the ability to fight with melee. And with that being said, that is every unit that I have made that will participate in the 100th tournament special. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you for that 100 tournament special.